Present. Or
Well, thank you.
order. Arm. Colors. Arch. Colors. Turn. Forward. Arch.
Well, welcome. Is Mike working? Okay. Welcome from all of us at DVSN. We really thank you very much for joining us this evening as we commemorate the 26 lives that were lost to domestic violence in Massachusetts in the last 12 months. I especially would like to be pleased and very pleased to welcome our friends from Hanscom Air Force Base, Major Brandon Casso, who is with us this evening, Chief Master Sergeant Charles Sonia, Senior Airman Parker, who had worked for us with his airmen, and the 4 airmen that joined from the 66 security forces at Hanscom Air Force Base. They provide us with the honor guard tonight, and actually a color guard, which we haven't had before, so that was really quite special. And they have been partners with us in this vigil for a number of years prior to COVID. So this is our first time we're gathering together with our honor guard from Hanscom in 4 years. So this is really quite a treat. And thank them very much for being with us. I would like to also let you know that I'm Jacqueline Apser, the Executive Director of Domestic Violence Services Network. And this is DVSN's 25th anniversary year. And it's the 22nd Candlelight Vigil that we've held. So we're quite pleased to be able to bring this to you every year. We feel it's really a very special event for us. And we really would like to be able to honor the Domestic Violence Awareness Month in October, and especially to honor the lives that have been lost in domestic violence. While we hold dear in our hearts those suffering with tragic wars and horrific circumstances around the globe, tonight we focus on the terrorism of a very personal and intimate nature, often behind closed doors and hidden from view. We will hear 26 stories from 24 different communities across Massachusetts, from small rural towns. Am I on? Good, thank you. I didn't think it was on, but boy, that's nice. From small rural towns to large cities, across all walks of life, races, ages, education, ethnicities, income. These stories tonight are brutal and heart-wrenching. Each story is complex, and each life lost is tragic and preventable. The domestic terror they faced was complex, sinister, pervasive, and unrelenting. 2 of the stories were investigated for years before being identified this year in 2023. Murder and suicide are frequently the manner in which these 26 individuals were killed. Often, when the victim decides to leave, tries to leave, or has left, the abusive partner is losing control and ramps up their abuse and escalates it to a lethal level. By joining us tonight to honor these lives lost, you help us shine a light on this horrific, devastating domestic plague, its prevalence in all of our communities, the paralyzing impact it has on its victims, and the lifetime of destruction and heartache it wreaks on each victim's children, family, and friends. After we commemorate these individuals, we will hear from Lincoln's Police Chief Kevin Kennedy and Middlesex District Attorney Marian Ryan, 2 amazing long-term partners to DVSN, who will speak about how the power of positive partnerships can change lives and save lives. And now we will have our stories.
Patricia Ann Tucker, age 28, Granby, Massachusetts. On November 15, 1978, the body of a young woman was found in the woods in Granby. She had been shot in the head, and her death was ruled a homicide. For decades, police were unable to identify her, and she became known as Granby Girl. In January of 2023, using forensic genetic genealogy and Ancestry.com, police matched her DNA to a close relative whose aunt had gone missing in the 70s. The Granby Girl was identified as Patricia Ann Tucker. Her son, Matthew Dale, was 5 years old when his mother went missing. Matthew told police that on August 8, 1978, his mother's new husband, Gerald Coleman, had dropped him off with an acquaintance, and he never saw his mother or his stepfather again. Coleman, who was 10 years earlier had been convicted of attempted kidnapping, aggravated assault, and carrying a firearm, did not report his wife missing. In 1995, he was convicted of rape, indecent assault and battery, and assault with a dangerous weapon, and died in prison in 1996. Police consider Coleman a person of strong interest in Patricia's murder. In a statement, Patricia's son Matthew said, "I would like to say thank you to everyone in trying to identify my mother and wrapping your arms around her, especially the community of Granby. Thank you for never giving up on her. At least I have some answers. Now after 44 years. It's a lot to process, but hopefully the closure can begin."
Jeremiah Oliver, age 5, Sterling, Massachusetts. 5-year-old Jeremiah was last seen alive in September 2013. 2 months later, Jeremiah's older sister told school officials he was missing. On April 18, 2014, Jeremiah's remains were discovered in a suitcase on Interstate 190 in Sterling. The state medical examiner ruled that Jeremiah died of homicidal violence. Jeremiah's mother, Elsa Oliver, eventually told authorities that Jeremiah had been kept in a kitchen closet for discipline. After hearing a violent fight between her and her boyfriend, Alberto L. Sierra Jr., 32, Jeremiah exited the closet and told Sierra, "Don't hurt my mommy." In response, Elsa said that Sierra slammed Jeremiah's head on the ground. She claimed that when she tried to intervene, Sierra attacked her again and she passed out. Elsa claimed Sierra returned Jeremiah to the closet and that he was not breathing the next day. Prosecutors alleged that Sierra then put Jeremiah's body in a bag, buried it, and then later moved it several times to avoid police searches. In May 2023, Sierra was arraigned on charges of the murder and the dismembering a body. In 2014, Sierra pleaded guilty to assaulting Jeremiah's older siblings, aged 7 and 9, and his mother in 2017, for which he was sentenced to at least 6 years in state prison. Several DCF workers involved with the Oliver family were fired for failing to visit regularly, and reforms were implemented. Jeremiah was described as a precocious, talkative, and articulate. He wanted to be a police officer when he grew up, and according to his obituary, loved Spider-Man being outdoors, playing in the park, and souped-up cars.
Ryan C. Anderson, age 29, Millbury, Massachusetts. On October 1st, 2022, Ryan was found dead by police in the Millbury home he shared with his boyfriend, Kevin Donnellan, 34. Donnellan called 911 to report that he and Ryan had gotten into a fight and that Ryan's body was downstairs. Donnellan told police that he had last seen Ryan alive 6 hours before and that he had slashed Ryan's neck with a knife and then tried to take his own life. Donnellan was treated for self-inflicted stab wounds, taken into custody, and charged with assault to murder, assault and battery on a family or household member, and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. Investigators found a text message from Ryan to a friend expressing fear that Donnellan would kill him. Ryan was an avid athlete who played baseball and soccer, enjoyed playing piano, and mastered trail riding on horseback. He worked for Hilton Hotels as a director of human resources. An Eagle Scout, Ryan loved the outdoors, particularly the ocean, and family vacations. Ryan leaves behind his 2 children, their mother, his parents, a sister, and a large extended family. A friend described Ryan as an amazing musical, beautiful in every way.
Jessica L. Goodrich, age 45, Worcester, Massachusetts. On October 8th, 2022, Jessica's body was discovered in a wooded area near a truck stop in Woodbine, Georgia. Investigators determined that Jessica had been a passenger in Jason Michael Palmer's long-distance truck. Jessica's sister said that Jessica and Palmer, 47, had been in a 10-year, on-again, off-again, abusive relationship and agreed to go on a trip with him because, in quotes, they thought they could make it work again. From phone calls with her family, it became clear that Jessica and Palmer were arguing and physically fighting a lot. Palmer indicated he was going to leave Jessica at a hotel with a plane ticket home, but Jessica never made it back to Massachusetts. Palmer was arrested by federal marshals and state police at an Indiana truck stop on October 26th. He is charged with murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and concealing a death. We're hoping for all the justice we can get, her sister said. Jessica leaves 3 sons, 5 grandchildren, and a large extended family. Her aunt posted on Facebook, "I will never forget all our movie nights, cooking dinners together and making all kinds of goodies. Lots of love. Till we meet again, fly high."
Sarah Richardson Emmerich, age 45, Kingston, Massachusetts. On October 9th, 2022, Sarah was discovered inside her Kingston home dead of an apparent gunshot wound. Her husband, Colin Canham, 45, was discovered outside the home, also dead of an apparent gunshot wound and in possession of a firearm. Police said that it appeared to be a domestic violence incident and that turned into a murder-suicide. Police have been called to the residence 6 times previously, but none of those incidents were violent and no arrests were made. The couple had a 6-year-old daughter who was not home at the time. Sarah, an auditor in the energy conservation field, was an adventurer at heart, meeting friends and family for concerts, beach outings, hiking, and skiing. As a young traveler, she backpacked around the world for a year. Sarah was a great lover of music, always discovering and following novel bands. She took considerable pride in her home restoration and maintenance. Sarah is survived by her mother, sister, and beloved daughter, Emma. Loved ones said we could count on her to get on a plane at a moment's notice, to put her family first in joyful and tough times. We will miss her.
Amber Rose Carpenter, age 39, West Springfield, Massachusetts. On October 20th, 2022, Amber was allegedly stabbed to death in her home by her boyfriend, Jose Hernandez, 30. A friend of Hernandez reported to the police that Hernandez had shown him Amber's dead body in the apartment. When questioned, Hernandez allegedly told police he and Amber had argued, and Amber threatened to call the police. To prevent her from using her phone, he stated he grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed her repeatedly. Hernandez was charged with her murder, assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, and witness intimidation. Earlier in August 2022, he had been charged with assault and battery of Amber and also violating an abuse prevention order in 2019. According to Amber's sister, Amber was caught in a situation that she was unable to remove herself from, although she was taking the right steps to do just that before her untimely passing. Amber's sister drew attention to the issue of domestic violence and how the media focused on Hernandez rather than Amber. saying that Amber was not just a victim, but a human being, a daughter, a sister, a mother who loved the outdoors, photography, and going to the beach with her family. Amber worked as a home health aide and was a very active member of her church. She leaves behind her 3 sons, parents, 5 siblings, and a large extended family. Her sister shared that Amber touched so many hearts in her lifetime. She was cheerful, warm, and welcoming, always trying to make everyone's day brighter with her presence.
Doris Ann Coate, age 74, North Adams, Mass. On November 1st, 2022, Doris was allegedly killed by her granddaughter, Kelsey Coate, 26. Police responded following a 911 call from Doris's son, Toby Coate, and found Doris dead at the bottom of the stairs in her North Adams home. Investigators found evidence of a struggle, bloody footprints, and drag marks leading through the main level and down the basement stairs. The medical examiner determined Doris had 7 wounds to her head, including 4 sharp force injuries to the back of her neck. Coate alleged she found her grandmother at the foot of the basement stairs, freaked out, laid with Doris's body before attempting to clean up blood on the floor, and changed Doris's clothes because her grandmother was a clean freak. Doris said she then contacted her father, Toby, who called 911 after coming to the house himself. Bloody clothes and potential weapons were found in a trash bag concealed in Coate's car. The DA alleged that Coate had been stealing money from her grandmother's safe and financial accounts. Police noted that Doris had substantial assets and that Coate was named as an heir in her will. Coate was arrested and charged with murder, assault to murder, and evidence tampering. Doris loved going for walks, caring for her plants, enjoying wind chimes, and baking. She was a homemaker who loved dogs and spending winters in Florida with her husband, who preceded her earlier in the year. She is survived by her son, her grandsons, a very dear best friend, and several nieces and nephews. Neighbors call Doris as sweet and kind, jovial and friendly, always in a good mood with a cheery way about her.
Veronica Gonzalez Suarez Rosa, age 48, Brockton, Massachusetts. On November 2nd, 2022, Veronica was found dead in her driveway after police responded to a 911 call reporting an unconscious woman. Veronica had been stabbed in the head in what the DA called a savage, brutal, and unprovoked attack, allegedly by her ex-boyfriend, Oejo Carrera, 56. Police found Correa in the house with bloody clothes and brought him in for questioning. Correa informed police he had ingested battery acid. He was rushed to the hospital where he died that evening. Police indicated there was no previous reports of domestic violence. Veronica's nephew said it appeared Veronica had just returned from dropping her daughter off at work when Correa attacked her in the car with her 2-year-old granddaughter in the back seat. The child was not physically hurt, but was badly shaken. Veronica had apparently broken off a long-term relationship with Correa, and a friend said, "It's not good, he was jealous." Neighbors were heartbroken and commented, "You can't do something like that. Just walk away. Very simple. Why kill her?" Her nephew described his aunt as a very hard-working, independent, strong-minded woman, always looking out for her kids. Veronica had immigrated to the United States from Cape Verde only a few years prior. Correa was also from Cape Verde. Veronica leaves behind her 2 loving daughters, her nephew, and 1 granddaughter.
Leroy Francis Fowler Jr., age 55, Newburyport, Massachusetts. On November 13th, 2022, Leroy died of ethylene glycol poisoning, a sweet-tasting industrial compound found in antifreeze, allegedly administered by his girlfriend, Judy Church, 64. Church called 911 on November 11th requesting an ambulance for Leroy, saying he was behaving erratically and, quote, must have ingested something. Leroy was taken to 3 different hospitals for treatment before being pronounced dead 2 days later. Leroy's family told investigators that he had been dating Church for 10 years and living at her home for 2. Church allegedly knew that Leroy had another girlfriend and had taken out a life insurance policy on Leroy the year before. 2 separate family members reported that Leroy had recently told them he thought Church may have been poisoning him through the coffee milkshakes she frequently made for him. Church allegedly did all the cooking. Leroy told his stepson that he felt better whenever he was not with Church. Church was arrested in December and charged with murder. Leroy was a jack of all trades who owned and operated Fowler Home Improvement and Roofing for many years before his semi-retirement in 2015. He loved riding his motorcycle, playing Keno, spending time with his dogs, and searching out yard sales. Leroy is survived by 2 sons, a grandson, and a large extended family.
Hubert Lebaskin, age 69, Fall River, Massachusetts. On December 7th, 2022, Hubert was allegedly shot and killed by his daughter's fiancé, Christopher Jean-Baptiste, 25. Jean-Baptiste also allegedly shot his fiancé's mother, 59, and sister, 25, before turning the gun on himself. The fiancé called 911 to report the shootings, and everyone was rushed to various hospitals. Hubert and Jean-Baptiste were later pronounced dead, while his fiancé's mother and sister survived. Hubert and his wife and daughter had been staying with his engaged daughter and her fiancé Jean-Baptiste for several months while looking for a place to live. Earlier in the evening, Jean-Baptiste had apparently told his fiancée that he was unhappy with her family continuing to stay with them. A little while later, he allegedly told the family to leave immediately while holding a firearm that he was legally licensed to carry. Hubert then engaged in a physical struggle with Jean-Baptiste, during which he was shot. While Jean-Baptiste's fiancée was calling 911, he allegedly shot the other members of her family and himself. Next-door neighbors were shocked. Quote, "There was blood on our doorbell and the door frame and on the glass. Blood was everywhere. It kind of freaks me out that this happened so close to us." Close quote. The investigation is ongoing.
Jose Aponte, age 43, Boston, Massachusetts. On December 12, 2022, Jose was stabbed 29 times in his apartment, allegedly by his boyfriend Michael Perry, 37. Police performed a welfare check on Jose after family and coworkers became concerned that they could not get in touch with him, and a suspicious, uncharacteristic text was sent to his boss from Jose's phone saying he was sick and could not come to work. Police found Perry in Jose's apartment with the door barricaded. After finally gaining entry, police discovered Jose's dead and bloody body just inside a trashed apartment, and Perry pacing around holding a knife and a pair of scissors. Jose had a deep stab wound to his face, neck, and chest, and an arm guard so badly that it looked like someone tried to cut it off. Following the confrontation with police, Perry attempted to escape by jumping out of the 12th-story window. His underwear got caught on the window handle, and he dangled outside the building until police were able to drag him back inside and into custody. Perry was charged with assault with a deadly weapon and first-degree murder. He had previously served 3 years in prison for beating up and stabbing a former boyfriend who did not want to continue their sexual relationship. Perry was released in early 2022, shortly before meeting Jose online. Investigators found evidence that Perry had complained about a lack of intimacy in his relationship with Jose and accused Jose of cheating on him. Jose was a native of San Juan, Puerto Rico, whose friend described as a kind and humble person. His death will leave an indelible sense of loss and an irremediable void in the hearts of all who are blessed to have known him, reads a GoFundMe page. He was a warm, joyful, funny, loving, attentive, and caring son, brother, nephew, cousin, uncle, and friend who will be deeply and dearly missed.
Amber Buckner, age 40, Stoughton, Massachusetts. On December 13, 2022, Amber was stabbed more than 30 times, allegedly by her partner, Victor Carter, age 39. Her body was found by neighbors in a shed on the property where she was reportedly living with Carter. Police said there were defensive wounds on Amber's hands, and the handle of a 4-inch tactical knife was protruding from her right temple. Blood-stained men's clothing and shoes consistent with what Carter was wearing around the time of Amber's death were also found in the shed. Carter was apprehended by police at Port Authority in New York 4 days later. Carter has a history of legal troubles and has previously violated probation. He pleaded not guilty to the charge of murder. According to her mother, Amber was a quirky, intelligent, funny, and generous woman who loved cooking, karaoke, and heavy metal. She had recently left a halfway house where she was recovering from substance abuse issues. A friend from the halfway house recalls Amber as a, quote, great girl. If you needed someone to talk to, she'd be there. If you needed a hug, she'd give you a hug. She was a great person and was just getting her life back, end quote. Amber is survived by her parents, 2 beloved children, and several aunts, uncles, and cousins.
Rosa A. Santiago, age 55, Lowell, Massachusetts. On December 25, 2022, Christmas Day, police responded to a call from a third party and found a husband and wife, Rosa and Jose Santiago, age 60, dead from an apparent gunshot wounds in their home. Autopsy reports found that Rosa had died by homicide and Jose by suicide. Police are treating the incident as a murder-suicide, with Jose allegedly shooting Rosa and then himself. No suspected cause or further details have been announced. The Santiagos had recently purchased their home in Lowell. Rosa is described as a devoted daughter, sister, mother, whose world mostly revolved around her children, grandchildren, and many siblings, and extended family in the local community. She was a licensed certified nurse assistant who enjoyed gardening and caring for her orchids and lady of the night flowers. Our mother had a great big heart and smile that will light up a room, wrote her children in Rosa's obituary. She always greeted everyone with a great big warm hug. She was a wonderful mother and grandmother who was always there when we needed her. She is survived by her 3 children, their families, including 8 grandchildren.
Anna Walsh, age 39, Cohasset, Massachusetts. Anna was last seen alive on January 1st, 2023, New Year's Day. And though her body has not been found, prosecutors allege she was murdered and dismembered by her husband, Brian Walsh, 47. Anna's employer reported her missing on January 4th. Walsh told police Anna took a rideshare to the airport on January 1st to fly to Washington, D.C. for work, and he hadn't heard from her since. Investigators found no evidence Anna traveled to D.C. Both blood and a knife with blood on it were discovered in their home. Video surveillance shows Brian Walsh purchasing $450 worth of cleaning supplies and some rugs on January 2nd, contradicting what he told police about his movements that day. Walsh was arrested on January 8th for misleading a police investigation. 10 bags of DNA evidence, items believed to belong to Anna, a hatchet and a hacksaw were found at a Peabody transfer station. Google searches such as how to dispose of a body and queries on body decomposition rates, murder charges with no body, getting blood out of wood floors, and information on divorce were found on the couple's 6-year-old son's iPad. According to a friend, because of Walsh's expected incarceration on art fraud charges, Anna was planning to leave him and move with the children to Washington, D.C. Investigators also found a total of $2.7 million in life insurance policies on Anna, with Walsh as the beneficiary. Prosecutors believe that Walsh killed Anna, cut her body up, and disposed of it at multiple area transfer stations and dumpsters, many of which had already been destroyed or incarcerated the remains and evidence before police were able to search them. Walsh was charged with murder and improper conveyance of a human body. The couple had 3 young children who are in state custody. Anna was a dual citizen who was born in Serbia. Her sister said the family was trying to get to the United States to be with Anna's children. A friend described Anna as a loving wife and a mother to her 3 beautiful boys.
Linda Robinson, age 55, Sebastian John Robinson, age 12, Andover, Massachusetts. On February 9th, 2023, Linda and Sebastian were apparently shot and killed by Andrew Robinson, 56, their husband and father, before he turned the gun on himself. Police responded following a 911 call from the Robinson home, during which indistinct shouting and gunshots were heard. When police arrived, all 3 members of the Robinson family were found dead. A gun legally purchased and registered to Robinson was believed to be the weapon used in the murder-suicide. Linda's uncle described Robinson as intelligent, but also a control freak. The couple had been outgoing, but retreated into isolation, and even more so during the pandemic. Close family said they rarely heard from Linda and hadn't had any visits, in person or virtual, in several years. Linda was an accountant and former model who grew up in the United States and Canada. She was proud of her Canadian heritage and close with her mother, who died in 2020. More than anything, being a mother was Linda's greatest gift, her obituary said. She considered Sebastian to be her pride and joy. Linda's former employer reiterated the mother-son bond, saying, "In truth, he was her world, period." !! Sebastian was a 6th grade student at St. John's Preparatory School, where he played the cello in the school's string ensemble, treasured literature, and was a gifted writer with a desire to learn and a sense of wonder. He was described as a quiet, bright light in his circle of friends who adored animals, his bike, and his extensive Lego collection. His head of school called Sebastian an extraordinary young man. He was a very gentle soul.
Brendan David Blow, age 23, East Hampton, Massachusetts. On March 14th, 2023, Brennan was stabbed to death in his home, allegedly by his girlfriend, Jean Marie Echevarria, 23. police responding to a 911 call at the apartment they shared and found blood in the snow outside on the landing and on the door leading to the apartment. Inside, they discovered Brennan lying on the kitchen floor with 5 stab wounds. He was rushed to the hospital, where he died soon after. Echevarria was arrested at the scene. She later told investigators that she and Brennan had had a physical altercation, during which she armed herself with a kitchen knife. After Brennan pinned her against the kitchen counter, she says she swung the knife at him. She never claimed Brennan was armed with any weapon during the altercation. Echevarria was found to have some abrasions, but no other injuries. She was charged with murder. Brennan was an entrepreneur with a passion for music and cars. He was known for being very kind and respectful, with the best interests of everyone at heart, robust laughter like no other, and a smile that brightened every room he entered. Very family-oriented, Brennan leaves behind his parents, 2 siblings, a large extended family, and great friends who were like brothers to him.
Nehemiah Cepeda, age 14, Brockton, Massachusetts. On March 14, 2023, Nehemiah was shot to death, allegedly by his stepfather, Juscelino Resende, 38. Nehemiah's mother, Felicia Cepeda Williams, 39, was also shot and critically wounded. Police responded to a 911 call by a girl who told the operator that her stepfather had killed her brother. Nehemiah and Felicia were transported to hospitals, where Nehemiah was pronounced dead. Felicia was treated and survived. Investigators discovered that Resende and Felicia, who had been in an on and off relationship for 13 years, had a fight earlier in the evening, which resulted in Resende packing his belongings and leaving. Other children in the home told police that Resende came back later with a gun. Felicia was asleep in bed, and one of her children and Nehemiah was asleep in her bedroom closet. Resende allegedly fired several shots as he made his way into the bedroom, where he shot Felicia twice, and then Nehemiah, who was still in the closet. Resende was charged with murder, possession of a firearm, and 2 counts of assault with intent to murder. Nehemiah was an 9th grade student who enjoyed going to movies and the beach. He loved his Lego action figures, video games, Fortnite, U2, and Bruno Mars. He's survived by his parents, a brother and 7 sisters, and a large extended family. Brockton School Superintendent said, "Our hearts go out to the student's family and loved ones as they process this unthinkable loss, impacting everyone in this community."
Margarita Martinez Moorhead, age 59, Chelsea, Massachusetts. On May 8, 2023, Margarita was allegedly stabbed by her boyfriend to death, Angel T. Alvarez, 65, in her home. Police found Margarita unresponsive in a pool of blood due to several stab wounds. She was rushed to the hospital and pronounced dead. Later that evening, Alvarez turned himself in and told police he had stabbed Margarita multiple times after she tried to end their relationship. Margarita had an active restraining order against Alvarez. In her affidavit, she wrote that he calls me 24/7. It's been more than 2 weeks that he does not let me sleep. He uses words that hurt my heart and says vulgar things. District Attorney Kevin Hayden said, "Instead of dealing with the reality of an ended relationship with restraint and dignity, this man chose a shocking act of violence that ended Margarita's life and ushered her in eternal grief for her family and friends." Margarita was a native of the Dominican Republic who loved helping and caring for others. She was the sole provider for her 91-year-old mother who lives in the Dominican Republic and funded the education and schooling of numerous nieces and nephews. Margarita ran her own cleaning company with clients who adored and respected her. Her 4 adult children said, "Our mother worked extremely hard every day to support our family, and she sacrificed trips to her cherished home country to make sure her family never went without." They described Margarita as a beacon of light in the community and a pillar of strength for her large family. She always put other people before herself. Her kindness and love knew no bounds.
Jasenia I. Simmons Montanez, age 45, New Bedford, Massachusetts. On May 29, 2023, Jasenia was allegedly killed by her former boyfriend, Angelo Leo, 33, in a brutal attack at a car wash. Police responded to a report of gunshots and found Jasenia's body in one of the car wash bays. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators said Leo followed Jasenia to the car wash and attacked her while she was washing her car. He reportedly dragged her out of her car and stabbed her in the back, leaving the tip of the pocket knife in her body. When Jasenia attempted to run away, Leo allegedly pulled out a gun and shot her. Video then shows Jasenia on her back on the ground and Leo getting on top of her and putting his hand around her throat before fleeing the scene. Shortly after, he turned himself in at the Rhode Island police station, reportedly wearing a shirt saturated in blood, and telling the dispatcher that he had killed his girlfriend. Prosecutors said that Leo had a history of domestic violence against a former girlfriend and family members and had been harassing and threatening Jasenia for years. He damaged her car, destroyed other property, sent threatening text messages, and at times threatened her with a knife and gun. Jasenia had acquired a restraining order against Leo earlier that month. Leo pleaded not guilty to murder charges. Jasenia was born on the Caribbean island of St. Thomas. She worked as a secretary and was known for her love of softball. Jasenia leaves behind 3 children, her parents, a brother, and several aunts, uncles, and cousins. Her teenage son said he and his family were struggling to come to terms with his mother's death. "She was a very strong woman. She did everything to protect me and my sister," he said, adding, "I saw her last night, but she went to sleep and I went to sleep, so I don't really have a last memory of her. I wish I did."
Nancy L. Ullman, age 82, Westboro, Massachusetts. On June 1st, 2023, Nancy was allegedly attacked and killed by her son, Daniel Ullman, 53, in a hotel parking lot. He reportedly invited his mother to meet him at the hotel, asking her to drive behind the hotel so they could smoke cigarettes. After she moved the vehicle around back, Ullman allegedly attacked Nancy, pulling her out of the truck and slamming her head into the pavement several times. Ullman then used a butter knife, attempting to stab his mother with it. Nancy fought back, grabbing hold of the knife. The police report states Ullman said that he tried to cut her throat, but she was struggling too much, so he got into the truck and ran her over twice to ensure she was dead. Ullman then went inside the hotel and asked staff to call the police because he had just killed his mother. When asked what led him to attack his mother, Ullman responded, "I just felt like killing her." Ullman previously attacked Nancy in 2014, stabbing her multiple times in the face and hands with several serrated knives and enough force to bend or break all the knives. He was sentenced to 2.5 years in jail for that attack. He was charged with Nancy's murder and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon on a person over 60. Nancy leaves behind her another son and 4 grandchildren. With deep roots working on the family farm, Nancy was happiest when she had her hands in the dirt tending to her gardens and tomato plants. Nancy's brutal death has left her friends and neighbors in a state of shock and sadness. The Westboro community adored Nancy for her bright smile and kind nature. She was removed from her warmth, generosity, and devotion to her family. Her obituary described Nancy as a devoted mother who cherished her family above all else.
Tatiana Tavares, age 30, Raynham, Massachusetts. On July 4th, 2023, Tatiana was fatally shot in her bedroom in the early hours of July 4th, allegedly by her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Scott Swale, 43. Police responded to 911 calls by Tatiana and another tenant in the house. They found Tatiana and Swale dead of gunshot wounds in Tatiana's bedroom. Investigators say Swale broke in through a sliding glass door, walked up to Tatiana's bedroom, and shot her in the chest as she lay in bed. He then reportedly shot himself in the head in an apparent murder-suicide. The district attorney's office said Tatiana and Swale had been in a hostile, year-long relationship. Tatiana was a native of Portugal. She leaves behind 3 children, her parents, 2 siblings, and many other loving relatives and friends. A comment on her Facebook page read, "I can't believe you're really gone. Fly high, baby girl."
Nancy Sorota Hansen, age 55, Newton, Massachusetts. On July 15, 2023, Nancy was beaten to death in her home, allegedly by her husband, Richard Hansen, 64. Nancy was apparently on the phone with a friend when the friend heard Hansen's voice in the background, the phone dropping, several loud bangs, and children screaming, "Dad, stop, you're killing her." The friend called 911, as did one of Nancy's juvenile sons. Police responded to find Hansen in the driveway, covered in blood, saying, "I can't believe I did that," and Nancy near death in one of her son's bedrooms with injuries to her head, body, and right arm. Her son told police his father had beaten his mother with a baseball bat and a barbell, claiming she had cheated on him, which he said was a common source of recent arguments between the couple. Nancy was transported to the hospital, where she died. Nancy had obtained a restraining order against Hansen 5 days prior. According to her affidavit, Hansen had taken Nancy's phone, laptop, pocketbook, and car keys, hadn't given her access to finances in over a year, and was drinking and yelling at her over an innocent friendship with a male. Nancy previously had a restraining order against Hansen in 2021, which he was criminally charged with violating. That affidavit accused Hansen of telling Nancy, "I should just kill you." Hansen was charged with murder, domestic assault and battery, assault with intent to murder, and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon causing serious bodily injury. Nancy was a vibrant and caring mother of 3 sons, known for her friendly nature and welcoming spirit. A neighbor called her the brightest, most wonderful personality. She worked as an exercise instructor, with one student calling her so upbeat and positive, and a colleague saying she was effervescent, energetic, big-hearted. Nancy was an active member of the community with a great willingness to lend a helping hand and genuine care for others. Her love and dedication to her family were unwavering. Nancy's children, devastated by what they had witnessed and the brutal loss of their mother, are together and safe under the care of a family member who stepped up during the crisis.
Elena Vanier, age 51, Reading, Massachusetts. On July 16, 2023, Elena was fatally beaten, allegedly by her son, Michael Boulis, 23. Elena had been visiting Boulis to help him set up his apartment in Lowell. Very early the next morning, Boulis called 911 to report that his mother was in distress, barely breathing, and looked like she had been in a fight. Police responding to Boulis' apartment found Elena deceased at the scene, cold to the touch with pooling blood and obvious injuries to her face, neck, and left hand. Boulis said Elena had been breathing moments before, which first responders found inconsistent with her condition. Police observed injuries on Boulis' hand, indicative of being in a recent struggle, and he was arrested. Boulis was charged with assault and battery on a household or family member and assault and battery causing serious injury. Elena was born, grew up, and attended university in Belarus. In 1995, she married her husband, who her obituary describes as the love of her life, and moved to the United States in 2000. Elena had 2 sons and was a devoted mother and loving friend. She worked as a principal software engineer and was known for being kind to all. Elena loved traveling and animals, her faithful furry companions. Devoted to helping others, including family, friends, and immigrants from Ukraine, her positive energy and what friends call the sunshine of her soul impacted all those around her. She will be greatly missed for her kind and loving spirit.
Nayeli Nieves, age 20, Salem, Massachusetts. On August 3rd of 2023, Nayeli was allegedly strangled to death by her boyfriend, Pablo Vicente, 33. Vicente apparently confessed to a relative that he had killed Nayeli and left her body in a dumpster. The relative contacted police, who performed a wellness check of her apartment and searched dumpsters in the area, finding no sign of Nayeli. Vicente at first told police Nayeli had run away with another man, leaving the couple's 2 young children behind. He soon admitted, however, that he and Nayeli had fought, and he had accused her of cheating. Vicente said that during the fight, he had put his hands around Nayeli's throat and kept them there until she lost consciousness and fell to the floor. He said she woke up and lost consciousness twice more, but that he was too absorbed in looking for evidence of her cheating on her phone to notice that she did not regain consciousness a third time. The couple's children were reportedly present in the room at the time. Vicente said he stayed in the apartment with the children and Nayeli's body for 3 days before wrapping it in a bedsheet and carpet and disposing of it in a dumpster on the property. Surveillance video showed Vicente wheeling a dolly with a wrapped-up human-sized item on it in the direction of the dumpster and returning with an empty dolly. The dumpster had been picked up a few hours before police searched it. Nayeli's body has not been found. Vicente had previously been arrested in April for assaulting Nayeli and for defaulting on domestic violence charges in 2019. Nayeli had a restraining order against him, which may have expired. Nayeli was a mother who, her brother said, would go above and beyond for her 2 small children. She did not deserve this, said Nayeli's sister. She was an amazing person. She was always funny and could light up the room. Nayeli's other sister said, "My heart is broken because I can't understand why someone so precious had to die." Nayeli leaves behind her 2 children and a large family, including 10 siblings.
Heidi Chase, age 44, Freetown, Massachusetts. On September 20th, 2023, Heidi was found bludgeoned to death in her home, allegedly by her boyfriend Matthew Lucas, 54. Their neighbors, a couple who live in the other half of the duplex home Heidi and Lucas shared, said that they had all been drinking and doing drugs together that night. They reported that Lucas had grown increasingly paranoid, occasionally grabbing Heidi's hair and neck, and that they had to be separated. Neighbors said that they went outside after a while and could hear Lucas yelling and objects smashing. The man says he engaged Lucas through the screen door and saw blood on Lucas's clothing. Lucas told him he had killed Heidi. The man then went inside and saw that Heidi was bloody and cold to the touch and that the room was in disarray. He eventually called the police, who found blood throughout the residence and Heidi dead at the scene, with significant trauma to her face and a bloody hammer nearby. Police found Lucas hiding in a shed on his brother's property nearby with blood-stained clothes and hands. He was arrested for murder. According to the Assistant District Attorney, Lucas has a long list of previous charges, including violent felonies, convictions, and time in prison. He also has a history of schizophrenia and other mental health issues, which have previously impacted his fitness to stand trial. Heidi is survived by her daughter, brother, and several aunts, uncles, and cousins. She was a member of the East Freetown Congregational Christian Church and a high school basketball player. She enjoyed going to fairs, carnivals, and loved animals.
Remember me. To the living I am gone, to the sorrowful I will never return. To the angry I was cheated, but to the happy I am at peace, and to the faithful I have never left. I cannot speak, but I can listen. I cannot be seen, but I can be heard. So as you stand in a vast forest, listening to the trees, remember me. As you wander through a meadow, gazing at the stars, remember me. As you stand upon a shore, looking at the swirling sea, remember me. As you look upon a flower and admire its simplicity, remember me. Remember me in your heart and in your thoughts, the memories of the times we loved, the memories of the times we shared, the times we cried, the times we struggled, the times we dreamed, the times we laughed. For if you always think of me, I will have never gone.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Kevin Kennedy. I'm the Chief of Police in Lincoln. I've been in Lincoln for 31 years, and I've been in policing for a little over 33 years. And Jackie asked me to talk tonight about partnership, and I look back at my career and I say, any successes I've had in my career is really due to the partnership. I look at the local police partners that we have in the room here. We have the federal partnerships here. We have the district attorney's office here. We all rely on one another. We're a small, tight-knit community, but we can't do it alone. So I was honored for Jackie to ask me to talk about partnership, and just to kind of give you a little bit of a history where I was years ago when I first started, and how things have changed and have changed for the better. So let's begin with a little story. About 33 years ago, I'm a police officer just getting out of the academy in South Portland, Maine. I responded to my first domestic violence call. Now, fortunately, I grew up in a household that was very loving and whatnot, and I was never experienced domestic violence. So I didn't really know what it looked like or anything like that. So when I arrived on the scene, I was like absolutely horrified. It's one thing to read and learn about it in the police academy. It's another thing to respond to like a real-time incident and have to handle it when you're 22 years old. And I'm like, wow, what's going on here? So as a young officer, I was frustrated. I learned that I could not arrest the offender because the victim would not say that her injuries were caused by the offender. She kept quiet to herself, and she was protecting him. The offender was actually her husband. At that time, the only option was for us to clear the call and ask the offender if do you mind leaving the house, kind of cool off a little bit, and take a walk around the corner or so, and come back a little while later when things calm down. And then just to tell the victim, if you need our help, give us a call again. Well, I didn't really give you any help the first time, so what's going to make her think she's going to call me again? So I'll never forget the feeling that I had when I was leaving the victim. It was like I abandoned her. I'll never forget the blank stare in her face. And just thinking of her in her mind, thinking like, you're leaving me here? You're leaving me with this gentleman? So I get outside, I talk to the sergeant, I'm like, this is wrong. Like, why are we leaving here? He's like, listen, there's nothing we can do. We have no choice but to leave. So about an hour later, we respond back to the house where the victim is badly beaten, severely beaten, where she needed to be taken to the hospital. Thankfully, having a conversation with her, not inside the house, but in the back of the ambulance, she finally disclosed to me that her husband was the cause of the injuries and why she was going to the hospital. I remember being so angry and thinking how the criminal justice system, our legislatures, failed the victim. The law should have allowed me to arrest her on the first time. But back then, there wasn't the myriad of resources that are here today that we can offer victims. The laws have also changed. The poor victim was left to figure things out on her own at the hospital. And I remember talking to the sergeant at the time, and the mentality is like, hey, we can only do what we can do. I'm like, but it's just not right. Like, it's just not right. So as we know, domestic violence is a pervasive issue that affects countless individuals and families, transcending barriers of age, gender, race, and socioeconomic status. It leaves scars that are not just physical, but emotional and psychological. It's a problem that we must confront as a community, and one of the most effective ways is to do so through domestic violence prevention programs such as DVSN. First and foremost, DVSN provides a wide variety of support services to survivors. Survivors often find themselves in a web of challenges, from immediate safety concerns to the long-term process of healing and rebuilding their lives. These partnerships ensure survivors receive the holistic care that they need to address the physical, emotional, financial, and legal aspects of recovery. Furthermore, DVSN engages in critical prevention and education efforts. Raising awareness and educating people to recognize the signs of abuse are key steps in preventing it. DVSN conducts community outreach, educates people about the importance of healthy relationship, and offers resources for those in need. DVSN also offers an excellent 40-hour advocate course where training is done by civilians and police together. And the officers that have gone there that I've spoken to have raved about this training, being able to see things from a 360-degree lens. It's an immediate and effective response to domestic violence is another vital aspect of DVSN's partnership with law enforcement. Their advocates ensure that survivors receive the help they promptly need. DVSN provides guidance and support, empowers survivors to regain a sense of control over their lives. This is critical in helping survivors rebuild their lives after enduring trauma. By reducing the stigma associated with being a survivor of abuse, these partnerships encourage more victims to come forward and seek help. This is especially important as many survivors suffer in silence and isolation due to fear and shame. DVSN is a lifeline for those trapped in abusive relationships. They are agents of change in our communities, advocating for a world where everyone can live free from violence and fear. Their efforts create ripples of positive change, touching the lives of countless survivors and ultimately making society a safer place for all. DVSN has been a tremendous partner with law enforcement. As a police officer and a police chief, I have seen firsthand the amazing value and benefit the DVSN services has provided. It's funny, we joined DVSN in the early 2000s, and over those years and looking back, it's like, how do we even do it without DVSN? They're just a critical partner for the work that we do. Jackie has created a blueprint on how law enforcement can partner with civilian organizations. Our successful partnership with DVSN has allowed for the expansions of our partnership with Elliott Human Services and their jail diversion program. As we know, mental health and substance abuse are prevalent in domestic violence cases. Unfortunately, these services are primarily funded through fundraising efforts and grants. It would be nice if someday they were fully funded by our collective communities. And all communities were afforded the similar domestic violence services as offered by DVSN. On behalf of law enforcement, I'd like to recognize Jackie, her entire team tonight for all their hard work and tireless efforts. Please know your compassion, dedication, and commitment are exemplary. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you. And moving on to partnerships, I cannot think of a better partner that is here today is the District Attorney, Marian Ryan. At this time, I'd like to introduce Marian as a District Attorney. I have had the good fortune of knowing DA Ryan throughout my entire career, while she was a prosecutor and now is a Middlesex District Attorney. DA Ryan is a tremendous partner who always makes herself in office available to provide guidance and assistance. Whenever things go wrong, you give their office a call, they always make us look good. One thing I will say, whenever you call Marian, she always answers the phone. If she doesn't answer it, she'll give you a quick text back, and she will call you back. And she's always there to partner with you to resolve whatever issue you have. She always makes herself available. Since 2013, DA Ryan has had the privilege of leading an office which she has spent her entire professional career. Her strategic vision is simple. Every day, the Middlesex District Attorney's Office strives to be the most dedicated, most effective, most transparent, and most innovative public prosecutor office in the United States. During DA Ryan's tenure, the office has created dozens of best-in-class crime prevention programs. The office has expanded the use of restorative justice and drastically expanded its diversionary programs. DA Ryan has served as a vocal and persuasive voice calling for smart, common sense reforms to the criminal legal system. She has also created a cold case unit that has delivered justice and answers in decades-old crimes. DA Ryan knows that none of these or her office's many successes during her tenure would have been possible without the exceptional efforts and talent of her many professionals. DA Ryan grew up in Somerville and is a summa cum laude graduate of Emmanuel College and a summa cum laude graduate of Boston College Law School. With that, I want to welcome DA Ryan.
Good evening. This is such an important night, and I'm really honored, and I'll be sliding off the stage. I'm really thanks, Chief, you must have loosened that up for me. I'm really honored to be here tonight because I would suggest to you this night is important, really for three reasons. The first is what we've just talked about, remembering people. I subscribe to an ancient Egyptian belief that every one of us will die twice. Once when we leave this world, and the second time, hopefully much, much later, when the last person who knew us, who cared about us, who knows our legacy, speaks our name. And so that is what we do tonight. For those who've left this world, we tell their story. I know, as I did, as you sat there, you felt that you knew a little bit about those people. They weren't just a list of statistics. And we keep them alive. And that's a critical piece of what happens here. And the second part of that is that by keeping people alive, we raise a conversation that, as the Chief mentioned, all too often people are kind of uncomfortable about. Making an outreach to someone and saying, do you feel safe? Are you okay? Is very uncomfortable. But we have to lean into that discomfort because we see tonight what doesn't happen. When that doesn't happen, what the results can be. That tragedy that a family endures. When the intervention never happens. The second part of tonight is gratitude. As the Chief mentioned, nothing that any of us accomplish could be done without the partners that we have in this room. To DVSN and their staff, and particularly the volunteers, we owe an enormous, enormous debt. We owe a great debt to our law enforcement partners, to our partners in the schools, in the legislature, because we simply could not do it without them. But most importantly, and I hope what you take with you tonight, both remembrance and in large part gratitude are about what has happened. They look backwards. But as DVSN embodies in its motto, I think the most important part of tonight is hope. Because hope is the future. And that's what I want us to focus on for the last few minutes that we have together. And in doing that, I want to talk about a couple of partnerships that I see as really embodying that hope and would not, as would any of our work, be possible without our partners. And the first is, you may have seen recently that Massachusetts has passed a new statute that makes community college in Massachusetts completely free, absolutely free, for anybody who's over the age of 25. That's an incredible gift. It is something that is unique. It is unique for people in this Commonwealth, and it is unique for those 15 community colleges across the state. So when I heard about that, as I said to Jackie, who better to benefit from that than the people that we work with DVSN, the clients that you serve, the victims and survivors that we work with. Why? For a couple of reasons. Everyone in this room knows the power of education. Education is transformative. It is particularly transformative for people who are trying to get out of an abusive relationship, because it gets you the means to get out. It keeps you from falling back into that relationship when you can't pay the bills. It gives you dignity, and it empowers you to be someone else. Because isn't that the essence of making a successful transition out of an abusive relationship? It's being able to see yourself as someone who is not just a victim. And then it's being able to get yourself to that place. So I called Jackie, as I always do, and a few of our other partners, and said, scariest words they ever hear in my office, I've been thinking. And the idea, which we are busy putting into place, has many facets. The first is we're going to hold an informational session for all of the clients who want to come, of all of our service providers. And we're going to have folks come out from the community colleges to talk about, all right, I understand it's free. I may be the first person in my family who's ever thought about going to a college program. How do I do that? What forms do I fill out? How do I make that transition? What is available at community college? So the plan is to have the community colleges there to see what's available. Many, and this is really important for a lot of our clients, many of the courses, are available online. So you don't have to get a babysitter, you don't have to have a car, and you don't have to figure out how to make that time to take yourself there. So we're going to showcase all of that for people, then offer them help in filling out those forms. You have to fill out one of those FAFSA forms that we all probably did for ourselves or our kids. Even though it's free, you have to fill that form out. That form is easy, but it's intimidating if that's not what you've been doing. So we'll do that piece and help people to get into those programs. The second piece we're working on is having a path to partner, and it's all about those partnerships, with some of the 21 colleges and universities we have in Middlesex County, so that there is a path forward for someone who wants to continue on in a 4-year program. So the vision is to have something that would say, for instance, if you complete the community college program and you have a 2.8 cum, you can automatically proceed on to someplace else without having to stop and reapply and do all of that process. And that piece, I know, is going to be the hope that so many people are looking for. That so many people are looking for when they think, how can I make this work? It's fine to say I'm going to leave, and everybody knows this. It is very different when you have 3 kids, a dog, and you're trying to figure out where you're going to live, and you don't have money for rent. This is that bridge. And the other piece of this, and this feeds into our second new partnership, is think about what it means for kids. We heard as we went through those stories how many kids saw what happened, were left behind, and when they see what happens, as I always say, that was not the first time something happened at their house. Now, the vision they will have in front of them is their parent making something different of their life, having school be important. Think about what it means to a child to do homework while mom is doing homework. That's what we're aiming for. And the second new partnership, which feeds from that, is I think all the time about what is it that causes some children to end up in the criminal justice system? And we all have theories about what that is. But there probably is no better description for what keeps a child out of the criminal justice system. Whatever their family looks like, whatever their resources are, but that they are thriving. Wherever they're being raised, they are thriving. We don't see those kids in the criminal justice system. So we were fortunate enough to get a $100,000 grant, a federal grant administered by the Executive Office of Public Safety. And we are using that grant to partner with Boston College Center for the Thriving Child. And the founder of that center, Mary Walsh, has agreed to work with our office and a group of school systems across our county as we figure out not how do we put a program in place or what do we offer the kids in fifth period, but put people in the school who are looking at each individual child and figure out what is it that prevents this child, this individual child, from thriving. Maybe they don't have boots to get to school in the winter. Maybe they're hungry. Maybe they don't understand because they can't see because they need eyeglasses. What is it? And then it will be the job of that person to figure out individually, how do I get this child to what he or she needs to thrive? That's a piece that's about hope. That is moving us forward in a very dramatic way. So I'm excited and very hopeful about that. And then the final piece of our partnerships that I'll mention, because we need your help with this, many of you know and have come to a partnership that we brought here to Middlesex in 2009, our Cut It Out program, where we train hairdressers, cosmetologists, manicurists, everybody who does personal care services about what domestic violence is and how they can see those signs when they are working on a client. Because as everybody knows, people tell their hairdresser things they tell no one else. And so that program has been enormously successful. We've trained over 3,000 people already, going salon to salon, teaching people how to look for those signs, what it means when they see them, and how to have a safe conversation with somebody, and use partnerships. We have been trying to get legislation passed to make that a requirement for everybody to get their license. 1 hour of training before you get your license. I've been testifying on that bill for a lot of years. Just last week, the bill finally made it out of committee. So that bill is well on its way. I hope that you will help us by reaching out to people, to your legislators. It's going to be coming up very shortly in House Ways and Means to get that bill passed and make that a requirement. Those are the kinds of partnerships, whether it's the public-private partnership with the salons, with the cosmetology schools. It's our partnerships with law enforcement about how do we take note of what we see in a house. It's partnerships with the education system, with this community college program, and then with the schools in our Thriving Child grant. All of that, I think, is what's so critical tonight. You know, there's an awful lot wrong in the world today, an awful lot in the last 24 hours, and things that can make you despair about the human condition, about safety, about so many other pieces of our lives. I hope that tonight you leave here with a balance to that, a balance of hope and gratitude for the work that is being done here, as well as remembrance of those we honor tonight. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Chief Kennedy. We are floating over here. And District Attorney Marian Ryan. These two individuals are just incredible examples of the absolutely quintessential public servants. They really, really care in ways that are just, beyond even description. Each one of them, it takes advantage of the opportunities that they have. I'm really very, very proud to be among them and others with us that we work together with in terms of our partnerships. And it's just amazing with the collaboration, the teamwork, the belief in the synergy of connection and community. And they live it every day. So I thank you, Kevin Kennedy, and I thank you, Marian Ryan, for the work that you do and being so outside the box. Just hallmarks of their remarkable achievements. You're truly the best, the very best of the best. So thank you. I want to thank everyone else who joined us tonight. We're really pleased to have you with us, bearing witness to these devastating stories of love and lives lost. While the stories themselves were certainly dark and despairing, we also want to honor the ways in which these individuals showed strength and perseverance in trying to change their lives, in struggling to protect loved ones, and trying to do everything right for their children and others they loved. And even though they lost those battles, with great determination, they did take the risk. They tried. They made the effort. Let's not let their tragic outcomes obscure the fact that many of these individuals were truly heroic in their struggle to be free. So again, I thank you for being with us this evening to honor their lives. I thank you very much, and everyone, especially our honor guard, our color guard, thank you. That was wonderful for you to do that for us tremendously. And I'm going to take a special little moment to thank the people who are truly our hosts tonight. The facilities director, Brandon Kelly, who also read a story for us. I want to say thank you. I thought this venue would be a really simple venue to set up, and it really turned out to have lots of moving parts. And he made it very, very simple for us to have the beautiful ceremony that we have tonight. So I want to thank you, Brandon, for that. I want to thank Rob Ford for the work he did with technology behind us. Not only did they help us behind the scenes, they are here tonight and read stories for us. So that's the kind of people that work in partnership that we really honor and really value tremendously. In addition to them, there Joseph and Jordan. There were two people that helped us quite a bit tonight. And our TV, Brittany, our Lincoln TV, I'm not sure that's the right name, but I was happy to have you with us very much so as well. So again, I want to say thank you all. We are now going to, I don't know that we're having any more honor guard. Are we? No. Thank you. So thank you for being with us anyway. But we do have opportunity to please have some supper. That's really kind of what everybody's here for, right? Little food, it's always good. And again, the stories that live with us, I love what Marian said about remembrance and gratitude. Those of us who work in this field truly are grateful to have that opportunity. It seems like a hard job to have, but we really love the work we do because we can make a difference and we can help people change their lives. And we're just really very honored and proud to be a part of that effort. So thank you all. Thank you.